My name is Vinni Silva, and I'm here today to let you know a little about my journey with my health challenge. About 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with lymphoma, and I went through all the tests and everything, and basically they found out it was acute lymphocytic lymphoma. I think they called it, whatever it was, non-Hodgkin's, Hodgkin's, I don't even know at this point. But I went through all the tests, and it was throughout my body, throughout the lymph system. It was in the bone marrow. They told me there was no cure, and I went through all these tests. They had an operation. They took out a lymph node to be sure, and they basically said that was my situation. The good news was that they said it was indolent at the time. It wasn't very aggressive, so they were just going to watch and wait. The good thing was my blood work was coming back okay. So, but I had to come back every week and a half at first, and they would run the blood screen, and the doctor said, well, the blood work is still good, we're just going to watch and wait, because treatment's really, now aren't going to really help anything, because it's not aggressive. So, the visits kind of went out further and further as my blood work didn't change, about 3 weeks, and then 6 weeks, and eventually it was like 6 months I was coming back for checkups. Periodically they do these CAT scans, which were not fun at all, and that went about for the last 5 years actually. And the funny thing, I think God does things and puts things on a path for a reason, and a year ago I started reading about natural cures as opposed to chemotherapy and drugs, because I thought eventually that one day the doctor was going to come in and say your blood work is bad and we have to do something. And I started reading about those things last year, and unbeknownst to me, and I didn't even realize it, put two and two together, that the cancer had started to do something. And I started to lose weight. I lost about 20 pounds over the next 5 months. And I started getting swelling in my face or in my eyes, and I didn't even think it had anything to do with the cancer. I had an eye doctor appointment. I went there. He thought it was an infection. After a couple of days, he gave me Benadryl or whatever, some eye drops, and he said, well, go see your doctor. And I went to my doctor, and he goes, you know, you've lost all this weight, and you got all this swelling. You think it has something to do with the lymphoma? And I go, well, maybe. And then a couple days later, I was at the Cancer Institute at Lexington Brothers, and they had me in chemotherapy just like that. And I went through 2 rounds of chemo, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, the last 5 years, I've known people in my Bible class, my bowling league, that had cancer and had chemo who had already died after I was diagnosed. And a couple days later, they sit you down when you go for before you have the chemo, and they have this whole book of all the side effects you're going to have. And I went through 2 treatments, and 2 days later my gums were bleeding, and I said to my wife Kathy, I said, we've got to do something. I've been reading about these natural cures. We went on the website and we tried calling this one place, never got through. It was we were playing phone tag with this one place I found on this site, and unfortunately we mentioned it to my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they said, you know something, if you're going to investigate natural cures, they're good friends of ours, Vic and Robin, and Vic had been diagnosed with lung cancer, and I don't even know their last name, but we met with them. They told us about this Total Health Institute here, and we had checked out the website, and we actually met with Vic and Robin, had dinner with them, and heard their story and what the treatments were like and what their experience was here. And to me it sounded like I wanted to check it out and go forward. So we did wind up coming here, and that was in October, and we got the assessment, and we met with Dr. Nemec, and he said it was a good thing. He only had 1 round of chemo, and we started the treatments here. And that was, it was, to me, in my heart, I felt the chemo was going to kill me. When we came here, we listened to the information, we listened to the stories and everything, and I said to myself, you know, I believe in my heart this is going to work. Now, chemo, and I don't think chemo was a very passive participation thing. I mean, you went there 2 times a month, and they hit you with the chemotherapy drugs and you had all the side effects, you did nothing. Here, I mean, there were treatments which didn't make you sick, but it was a big part of yourself. It was more not a passive thing where you had to actually actively get involved and do the things with changing your diet and your exercise routine and your sleep and all those things. And you had a big part of it too. And again, more importantly, in my heart, I felt it was going to work. And we went through the treatments, and by the time I was getting to the end of the treatment scenario, I felt I was having my body heal. And the funny thing is, during this time, I noticed a lot of changes. For instance, I was taking blood pressure medication for 20 years, and I noticed my blood pressure was like 105/70, and I said, you know, I'm going to wean myself off this blood pressure medication. And I did that. I'm no longer taking that stuff. And I noticed these symptoms that I had, I didn't realize they were from the cancer, but I was getting this severe cramping in my feet, my legs, and these deep cramps in my muscles. And they had gone away after a few weeks. I said, wait a minute, these things aren't happening anymore. I had this reflex when I brushed my teeth or used my water pick. I was gagging. My dentist said they thought it was psychological. And I noticed after a few weeks here with changing the diet and the treatments I was having here, that disappeared too. And I said, you know something, you know, when you get this, your body gets oxygenated, you get your blood flowing and all those good things, you start to notice a lot of side effects. I noticed things sexually too that were improved. Not that I had any problem before being Italian, but hey, I mean, when you realize when you've got blockages and you start freeing these things up with diet and all the treatments that I've had here, things really start to change. Anyway, it's funny, I've never had an avocado before I started here, or guacamole, and but that was a challenge at first. But Dr. Nemec said he didn't like those things either. And I worked at it, and now when I have a salad, I got 2 full avocados in it, and I am not going to have a salad avocados. And diet, I've changed my diet totally, big thing, and it's not such a big deal once you get doing it and realize how it's good for you. So we've already done that with my wife and I. We've recommended this place to people. When I hear people going through chemo, I'm thinking, oh, there are other choices out there. And I related my story in my Bible class, and people have come up to me and have asked about what did you do? What did you do differently? How is it possible you can get cured without going through chemo? And I know some people, at least I know one person that's already started coming here because of that. And I'll tell you one thing, when you're here, I know there's a positive energy here, and I feel good when I'm here. I've signed up for a maintenance program to make sure I don't slip and go back to the negative ways of doing things. And I'm very happy with my experience here, and I'm blessed that God pointed me in this way, and I was able to come to a place where I could heal, a place that's Christ-centered, and I am definitely blessed.